Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to European Higher Education Fair Indonesia 2023. My name is Puji, and I'm going to be your moderator for today. For this session at Auditorium 1, we're going to talk about study in top Nordic universities with speakers from Aalto University in Finland, Lund University in Sweden, and Tampere University in Finland. Thank you, everyone, for being here with us. Before we begin the talk show, I would like to invite each speaker to introduce themselves and their respective institution. We will start with Aalto University and then followed by Lund University and Tampere University.
Hello, everybody. Great to be here this miserable morning in Finland. I hope you're having a more sunny day. I'm Ilona Korja. I'm a marketing specialist at Aalto University, and I'm really happy to be here to share some information about our university.
Thank you very much. Next from Lund.
Hey everyone, my name is Audrey Savage. I'm an international communications officer here at Lund. Lund University is located in southern Sweden, and we're really excited to be here as well to share some info and hopefully answer your questions.
Thank you. Last but not least, from Tampere.
Hello everyone. So this is Tampere University and Joanna Kumpula. I'm the head of international education and integration support, and I'm happy to be part of this talk show again for, I think, fourth time already. So very excited to see what we have in front of us for this event, and of course, when we come over to visit.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here. So before we begin with the talk show, I'd like to remind the audience that you're welcome to ask your questions over on the chat box in YouTube, and then we're going to address that at the Q&A session. So now to start the talk show, I would like to ask all speakers. First thing first, could you highlight a standout program or initiative that sets your institutions apart from others in the Nordic region? We can start with Tampere and then followed by Lund and Aalto University.
Oh, it's very difficult to choose just one topic, of course. I think all of us Nordic countries and Nordic universities share so many similarities and same values and ways of doing, of course. There's often things that we compare ourselves to each other. So if I would pick something about Tampere, is the fact that Tampere University is the most popular university city in Finland, not just among the international students, but the domestic students. It's very well known for its kind of university atmosphere, and the whole of the city is very geared towards doing services and facilitating young people and students. So I think it's not just the campuses which are active and young, it is the whole of the city of Tampere.
All right, thank you very much. I would like to hear from Lund University.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would completely agree with Joanna that it's very hard to pick just one program or topic to stand out. I think Lund really specializes a lot in sustainability, though I would also say that that probably is quite relevant throughout the Nordics. All the Nordic countries are quite special in terms of a real care for the environment and really wanting to make sure that we preserve our world for future use. But we have quite a few sustainability related programs, or even just regular programs, whether in science, engineering, social science. There's always going to be some aspect of sustainability built into the programs. We were recently ranked the 12th university in the world in the QS rankings in terms of sustainability at Lund, so that's something we really pride ourselves on. But we also have quite a big focus on human rights as well, as we have a large human rights center, so quite a lot of social science and law programs focused around human rights, as well as physics, having quite a few large-scale physics research centers. And we were also lucky enough to have one of our physics lecturers recently won the Nobel Prize in physics this year. So I would say those are three sort of standout areas, but of course it's very hard to narrow down to just a few.
All right, thank you very much. From Aalto University, Ilona?
Yeah, I would definitely say yes to everything that Johanna and Audrey have mentioned. But as in terms of Aalto, I think our force is the fact that we are a multidisciplinary university. We have three very different fields, and our students are encouraged to take elements from all three fields, regardless of what their actual program is. So I think that's our strong suit. Of course, sustainability is in our core in everything we do. We have an entrepreneurial mindset. We have a lot of startups working with us and a lot of connections to those. So the future for our students is quite bright. Joanna mentioned that Tampere is a good student city, but we also at Aalto have a very nice campus, which is very rare in Finland. So we don't have a city, but we have a small town. So it's a very warm and welcoming community here at Aalto.
All right, thank you very much. I think it's a very interesting to highlight how in all of these universities, you're highlighting how warm and welcoming not just the university, but also the community, which is going to be very encouraging for international students, especially from Indonesia. When you come and you have to adjust, you have to learn a lot of new things. You need to learn to, you need to get acclimatized with the climate, like 4 different seasons. So I think being able to arrive in such a warm and welcoming environment is actually going to be encouraging for them as well. So on that note, I'd like to hear from everybody as well. Do you have any specific programs or career prospects that Indonesian students should consider for your country and your university more specifically? Ilona, you can start.
I had actually a look about what our Indonesian applicants are interested in, and it seems that there's a very wide variety. So I can't actually pick one program that would be a standout program, because they are all equally great. And like I said, that we want to encourage the multidisciplinarity. So for example, international design business management was a program that there were quite a few applicants in. So clearly it is an interesting idea to be able to combine these 3 different fields.
All right, thank you very much. Audrey?
Yes, I think at Lund we have about 150 programs taught in English. We're a comprehensive university, so we have across all different spectrums in terms of what you'd like to study. So I think the sky is the limit, essentially, in terms of what you like to do for your career. But I would highlight that Sweden as a country offers a look for work permit after your studies. So as long as you can self-fund your visit afterwards, you can stay for a year in Sweden to look for work in order to stay and work in Sweden, if that's something you're interested in. So I know we have quite a lot of students, it's about 50-50, who stay and work in Sweden or else work elsewhere in the world or go back to Indonesia afterwards. And most of our programs do really emphasize some sort of experiential learning. So you'll be encouraged to do an internship or research with a company or some form of study visit in order to start making those connections before you graduate to help advance your career afterwards.
All right, thank you very much. Joanna?
Yes, I think this is a very actual topic for all of our students. And actually, we're very proud at Tampere University, because for us in the Finnish context, our international master's degree graduates are the luckiest ones, in the sense that they have the highest employability rates of the Finnish universities. And I think, of course, that we're the 2nd largest research university in Finland, so we have lots of different fields. So the employability prospects are very different in different fields. But I think in Finland now for several years, we've been very actively talking about the need for more staff and skills in, for example, in the fields of IT, engineering, technology in general. And our graduates have really good prospects into work life, because a lot of big companies such as Microsoft, Nokia, Huawei, they are actually located on campus. So Tampere region is very, very industry-driven area where there's a lot of opportunities for our students. And of course, research opportunities. I just talked recently to one of our Indonesian graduates who's staying with us after her master's to do her PhD. And she actually joined me a couple of years ago in these events, and I'm so happy that she's staying with us. So there's a lot of opportunities, especially for those students who are really into maybe research and development, maybe doing that PhD in future. So good opportunities, whether you're looking into IT, architecture, social sciences. So it's very much about you finding that right fit for you. And there's a lot of different support services then in the university, but the city itself, and in the industry side also for our students and graduates.
All right, thank you very much. So we went a bit more specific for Indonesian students in the previous question, but more generally speaking, how do your university support non-native English speakers in terms of language preparation and integration into the local culture? Because even though I believe that a lot of people in Nordic countries already speak English, but obviously it's still going to be useful to be able to speak national languages as well. So Audrey, do you want to start adding on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you say, it's very widely spoken English in Sweden. Sweden usually goes back and forth with the Netherlands in terms of the #1 country in the world for speaking English fluency outside of native speaking countries. But that being said, of course, as you mentioned, it's always very useful to learn a little bit of the native language wherever you're at in order to better integrate into society and increase your career prospects. So first off, when students arrive, they're put into mentor groups with local students and international students. So that provides a really good way to sort of start making friends and get the ground running. You have access to kind of all the wealth of knowledge that are our local Swedish students to kind of get your feet wet and get an idea of the cultural differences. Where can you find things? What do you need? And then as you're beginning your studies, Sweden offers free Swedish classes for students called Swedish for Immigrants, where you can start to learn Swedish on the side if that is something that you're interested in. But I think for the most part, most of our students usually learn enough to be polite and maybe shop at the grocery store, but you'll find that you really don't need any more than that in order to get by with day-to-day life in Lund. Our city is about 120,000 people, and around 45,000 of that are students. And all of our students must prove that they're fluent in English in order to study here, whether they're Swedish or not. So all of the university information that we publish is always available both in English and Swedish. So in day-to-day life, you'll have no problem. But of course, if you want to learn Swedish, there will be opportunities for you.
All right, thank you very much. That sounds very encouraging. Ilona, would you like to add?
Yeah, I think in Finland in general, we also have the same situation as in Sweden. But in terms of Aalto, we are an international community. We are one of the most international universities in Finland. So in terms of speaking English, that's a no-brainer. You can get by with English very easily on campus. And once you arrive at Aalto, you are usually greeted by guild members or tutors, and they will also take you to the orientation week, which I very highly encourage everybody to take part in, because orientation week is the chance that you get to meet not only people from your own program, but also from other programs and also Finnish students. So that way you can start integrating also into the student community. I actually asked one of our Indonesian student ambassadors about her experience, and she said that this is exactly what you need to do. She has a lot of Finnish friends and also has started to learn the language. Theodora said that there are Finnish language courses that she has started to take also along with her studies. In terms of speaking Finnish, I also encourage it. It helps you get by more than in the grocery store, but also it gets you deeper into the community as well, especially if you want to stay in Finland. The metropolitan area is quite good with speaking English, and of course Tampere probably as well, but there are areas where it might be easier if you speak the local language, which is Finnish or Swedish, but I think Finnish is a good starting sport.
All right, thank you very much. So Joanna, maybe you can conclude and add a little bit more on this.
Yeah, I think because that's why I said in the beginning, us Nordic countries, we're so similar. And I think the support service side is the one where we excel, all of us, regardless of which university you talk to. I think one of the key things is when you travel to a new country and you're kind of establishing yourself there, networking is kind of one of the key features in how well you integrate into a society, into campus life and all that. And that's something that we want to at Tampere University really focus in is making sure that you find those networks that suit you. Not just the kind of the academic side, because, for example, all of our students, international and domestic, talk about like how easy it is to converse and communicate with the academic staff because you're on first name basis from day one onwards. but it's also the networks of whatever hobbies you have back home. You can bring them with you because the university has extensive support services for sport, culture, anything you can think of. And if we don't have it yet, you can be one of the people who establishes that culture in our university. So you're part of a community which is very international, such as in Lund and Aalto, but you're also bringing you and your interests and your kind of background into this culture, and maybe you can bring something new, because that's one way of networking, is just reaching out with what you have to offer. And definitely in the Nordic culture, it is definitely a welcoming culture for everyone. So I do think Finnish language or Swedish is a good way to start that interaction with others. But sometimes our international students complain that nobody speaks Finnish to them when they're trying to learn. So everybody speaks English. So it's a maybe a positive challenge in many ways, that there's people to help you out, whether they're mentors, tutors, staff in any office or academic circle. So there's always a support service, and ambassadors is, by the way, a great place to start with before you even arrive, is talking to them and asking their opinion about integration, learning languages, and learning about the culture.
All right, thank you very much. I think that's a very interesting point that is very interesting as well. When we talk about integration into local culture, I think it's important to also remember that when the students come, as they enter the new environment, they also have the things to offer themselves. So it's not just taking from the existing community, but they also have something to give to enrich the community and probably start something new. I think that's a very interesting point.
Yes, definitely. And I think one thing is that getting used to a new culture doesn't mean that you have to forget your own or push it aside. It is about melting those things together and taking those best parts about the new culture and your old culture. And that's how you get an international community.
All right, thank you very much. Now, I'd like to invite the audience to get to know our speakers' institutions a little bit better. So I'd like to start with Lund University. Audrey, probably you can explain to us a bit more because Sweden is often praised for its research opportunities. Could you share some insights into the research environment and opportunities available for international students at Lund University?
Absolutely. So we are a very research-driven university. About a third of our total budget goes to research, and it's something that, regardless of what level you study at, if you're going to study a bachelor's program, a master's, or of course going on to a PhD, you will be involved in research in some way within your program. Students are really encouraged to take part in research throughout the program, not only in their thesis typically, so that you're also gaining those skills and really honing your research ability, so that when it comes time to actually do your thesis or do a larger research project, you're really feeling prepared and not just thrown into that really at the end. We also have a lot of opportunities in terms of research facilities that are really top of the line around Lund, specifically, as I mentioned earlier, around physics, but also in terms of engineering and science and technology. We have 2 research facilities, Max4 and the European Spallation Source, that are world-leading resource facilities shared by around 17 different countries, but we're very proud that Lund was chosen as the place to host these facilities that are world-leading synchrotron research and neutron research especially. But I think no matter what you're studying, even studying in the humanities or the social sciences, we have humanities and research labs. So even if you're studying something that you think typically, I can't really imagine what kind of research or if I would use a lab to do this, there are opportunities and you'd be really surprised how much you can delve into that. But most of our programs will also really encourage you to explore both research in terms of going on for a future in academia. As Johanna said, we have quite a lot of students who stay on to do a PhD or else go onwards to do a PhD somewhere else in the world, depending on your preference and how much you get to know Sweden, I suppose, and like the a little bit colder weather that we perhaps have here. But also you will be exposed to research that can be applied to industry, or also, as I mentioned, just internships and the like, so that if you want to explore a career more in hands-on field in terms of business or industry, that also will be open to you.
All right, thank you very much. Now, I'd like to hear from our friends in Finland for Aalto and Tampere University. So I'd like to hear more about how Finland's excellent education system actually makes Finnish universities stand out, and why international students should actually consider studying in Finland.
So
Joanna?
maybe I can start, yeah. I think it has a lot to do with both the idea of not just having excellent higher education, but it starts from primary education onwards. So Finland has, for many, many decades, has put a lot of effort and appreciation into education for all. So that has established us a very strong network of schools, high schools, and then universities. And I think one of the things about us is that we are a big, small country. So we are big in size of land, but not that many people, maybe 5 point something million only in the big country of ours. So we have an extensive high university system to make sure that all areas of geographic areas are covered, but also scientifically all areas are covered. So we have put a lot of money and time into developing a very good system in itself, which supports all of the universities to grow in their own fields. In the universities itself, I think one of the key things why we get so good marks from our students themselves in all of our universities is that we have relatively small study groups. They are not mass produced lecture rooms. Of course, in the first year, you might have a bigger lecture room, but I think by Finnish standards, something we say is a big lecture room everywhere else is a bit of a smaller one. But having that one-on-one relationship with your academic tutors, with professors, teachers, is something that enables all of our students to build their own kind of academic career. Ilona mentioned a couple of things about having the opportunity to do studies kind of outside your main scope, like look into, if you're an IT student, you can look into social sciences and learn from gender studies, for example, and so on. So those are just few examples about how we have established that reputation, which I think it's not just a reputation, it is very true that we have a very good system which supports all of the universities in how they grow their research. For us, for example, our focuses in research are in technology, health, and society. And in all of our programs, one or two of these themes are very relevant and actual in the teaching also, not just in research.
All right, thank you very much. Ilona, would you like to conclude the answer before we go to the Q&A session?
Joanna, empty the table, but I would like to say that I discussed this with my Indonesian student ambassador, and she mentioned the low hierarchy, that for her was something that kind of made her studies feel important as well, that she could communicate with her professors on a first name basis and have this ongoing assessment and conversation about her studies. So you didn't have to wait until the end of a semester to get feedback. You could get it constantly and constantly be making sure that you are doing the best that you can. Other than that, then Joanna, you said everything.
All right, thank you very much. So it's been an insightful talk show session up to now. And then if we have a look at YouTube chat box, we have quite a handful of questions already. So let's just address some of the frequently asked questions out of the way. It's all about the scholarship. So a lot of questions actually revolve around the scholarship opportunities and whether or not it's fully funded, and for certain departments as well. Like, for example, we have one question asking for the opportunity for fully funded scholarship for MBA program in Tampere University. But I think in general, we can explore on the funding aspect of the study in our respective universities. So probably, Audrey, you can start.
Yes, of course. It's a really important question and very good to be thinking as early as you can about funding, as it's going to be a big part, of course, of studying abroad. At Lund University, we offer our own scholarship called the Lund University Global Scholarship, which is the largest scholarship in Sweden for international students. And it's open to all of our applicants who are non-EU citizens for any of our programs. It can fund anywhere from 25% to 100% of tuition fees, so it can be fully funded. It's completely merit-based, so when you apply, you'll be asked to essentially interview yourself for why is Lund a really good fit for you? What are we going to be able to provide you, and what can you provide us in terms of your studies here and what you'll go on to do afterwards? So it is quite a competitive scholarship, so we do always recommend looking into other opportunities for funding as well, but it is an option that you can apply for. The one thing to really keep in mind when it comes to scholarships, all scholarships, at least in Sweden, are that you must apply for a program first before you can apply for a scholarship. So you're not able to, unfortunately, to apply first for the scholarship, see if you get it, and then decide if you want to apply for a program. But of course, if you find a program that you're interested in, you're very welcome to apply. We also have the opportunity to, we're eligible for funding through LPDP, the scholarship within Indonesia. So you can also use LPDP scholarships to come fully funded. And I know we have quite a lot of Indonesian students who come through the LPDP program as well. And we have a few program-specific scholarships, but that's something that I would more encourage you to look into once you've decided on a program that you're interested in, to see if that's an option.
All right, thank you very much. Now I'd like to also hear from our friends in Finland. We have a question specifically for Tampere University, so probably, Johanna, if you would like to address that as well.
Yes, so basically, both for our bachelor's and master's programs, we have scholarship opportunities for Indonesian students. So similarly, as already said, for Lund, it is for non-EU students. So of course, Indonesian students in that. And there are different ways of funding it. There are the 100% and so fully funding the tuition fee. But we also do have an early bird offer for those students who are admitted and accept the study place inside the first couple of weeks of acceptance. So that's a 50% scholarship on your tuition fee. We also in Finland actually offer something that is considered a national scholarship, a Finland scholarship. Those are for master's level applicants only. And that is a full tuition cover and 5,000 euros for the first year, so as a relocation funding. And I think one of the key things maybe where we are different from Sweden is that at least our students, they apply for the scholarship at the same time as they are applying for the study place. So you do receive at the same time the decision on the scholarship as you receive the study place offer. So you do not have that waiting period to decide if the application is dependent on the scholarship decision. But yes, definitely do look into our scholarship pages. I think I did hear maybe you mentioned that somebody was asking an MBA scholarship for us. And unfortunately, we do not offer an English taught MBA in our university. So not even a scholarship then.
All right, thank you very much. So, Ilona, how about the things that are similar and different in Aalto University?
Lots of similarities, obviously, with Jonna. So we have the merit-based scholarship system as well. We offer 50% and 100% scholarship tuition fee waivers, and you apply for them at the same time as you do your application. And the decision is also comes at the same time as your application decision. They are merit-based, which means that the best students are the ones who get the scholarship. And we also have this national Finland scholarship at the moment for our master's students.
All right, thank you very much. Now, more question on life as international students in Nordic countries. We have questions from the audience ranging around average living costs, and then also part-time opportunities, and also how the university would be able to provide any assistance to international students in finding accommodations. While you're here, Ilona, maybe you can start.
Yeah, I would love to. I actually discussed this with our students, and cost of living it depends on your lifestyle, but basically student accommodation at Aalto is quite cheap. So it's around 300 to 400 euros for the cheapest shared accommodation, which means that then your living costs are somewhere around 600 euros. But that, of course, depends on how you live and where you want to live. If you want to live in the city center, it'll be more expensive. Aalto does not offer student accommodation. It's organized by our student union, and then there's a separate student housing company who offers this accommodation in the metropolitan area. There are apartments on campus, but also all around the city area and along the metro line. So it is quite easy to get to all of the places. But being a student in Finland in general is quite cost effective in the sense that you get very good student discounts. There is the Frank discount app, student discount card, which gets you discounts from public transport, and I can't really think of any other place that wouldn't have a student discount. You always should ask because it seems to be that everywhere they have a student discount. So that's a good app. And then of course student lunches are less than 3 euros on campus. So it's I definitely miss my student card because it was very, very cost effective to be a student.
I can imagine. I think student discount is definitely something that's going to help a lot for students, especially international students, when they have to, probably for the first time in their life, they need to learn how to budget. So I think that's a very interesting thing to have as well. So Joona, how's it like in Tampere University?
Well, we do have a student housing foundation that we cooperate with. The foundation is not owned by the university, but we cooperate very, very closely to make sure that our international students have housing options that they can use. So similarly to Aalto, I think all university cities in Finland, it is that student housing options are, if you want to live very close to the campus area, which during the winter time can be very useful. The options start from slightly lower level, from about a little over 200 euros upwards. But we do discuss a lot with our student ambassadors about funding. And as Ilona said, it's very individual. Sometimes I do not understand how the boys can live in so little. They're very, very stingy with their money, I think. But the student discount, I think, when you asked earlier about why Finland is such a good educational system, I think the student discount system is one of the reasons also, because all of us do miss that student card because it gave us a lot of discounts, but the society tries to make sure that students have opportunities regardless of their background, so regardless of their financial situation. But I think international students always, especially for the first academic year, have to make budget planning to make sure that they have those certain things when you move across the world, that you do not run into trouble if there's any issues in your first year of settling down. It is a kind of a conscious budget planning situation that first year. There are sometimes part-time opportunities, for example, in for one of our programs in master's level business and technology. They just mentioned recently that all of the students who are doing their master's thesis at the moment are doing it paid for companies. So some of them work part-time in research labs. So the campus itself does have some opportunities. And then some of them do, and it's possible with the residence permit that our students receive to do some part-time jobs. But it's always important to remember that you cannot plan your budgets on part-time jobs because studies is the main thing that you're doing. And then that's the residence permit kind of basis. But definitely opportunities, but for the first year, before you have those networks, before you know kind of what's going on in the city and what kind of opportunities you have, definitely have to make sure that you are budgeting in a way that you can do your rent, you can do your hobbies, and definitely get that food, even though you get those student discounts.
And I'd like to also add that the student accommodation, at least in the student housing at Aalto is non-furnished, so you have to plan also to start your life from furniture and knives and forks onwards because the apartments are not furnished.
It's the
And
IKEA
then,
shopping.
yeah, and also flea markets. Flea markets are very popular in Finland at the moment. I buy everything from the flea market. They're amazing, and students also are encouraged to check those
Okay.
out first and then there are different groups as well that students share and give away furniture and sell furniture. So it's you don't have to do the IKEA trip unless you want to. That's a possibility as well.
All right, thank you very much. So Audrey, how's it like in Sweden?
Yeah, I would definitely echo a lot of what my colleagues here have said in terms of especially the student discounts. We have a lot of student discounts basically at every store, at public transport and everything as well. One way that I think we differ a bit is that we do offer accommodation through the university, and it is guaranteed for non-EU citizens. So if you apply and you're admitted as an Indonesian student, you will be guaranteed to have housing. We have a lot of different options of housing. So again, the cost can kind of vary depending on your preference. So if you're willing to live in a corridor where perhaps you share a kitchen with others, though that can also be a really nice way to meet your neighbors and make friends, that can be a bit cheaper, maybe around 300 to 400 euros as it is at Aalto. And then if you want your own private room, like a studio or your own apartment, that can be a bit more expensive, maybe 500 euros. So it really depends a little bit on your preference in terms of your living situation and your budget. Of course, if you eat out a lot, it can be a bit expensive, but cooking at home tends to be a bit cheaper. We also have a lot of markets around the city where you can buy fresh fruit and vegetables that can be quite a bit cheaper than in the grocery stores. And we have specifically an Asian food market, so you can also find all of the local foods that you're missing in order to make sure that you can cook delicious dishes, which I'm very much looking forward to having next week when we're there in person and not miss too much. And it's quite reasonably priced as well. So I think really, as my colleagues have said, it's really all about your budget and kind of deciding for yourself what you can afford or not. It is also possible to work while you're in Sweden on a residence permit, but I would definitely echo what Joanna said about you should consider that as extra pocket money if you're able to find a part-time job and not arrive with the intention that you'll be able to pay all of your expenses with a job, because just in case you aren't able to find one right away, or you don't have so much time to be able to work because you will be studying full-time, then that's sort of extra money on the side. And I think it's important to note that for Sweden, at least, you also need to prove that you have the financial ability to cover your living costs before you arrive when you apply for your residence permit. So it is something that's important to think about before coming, because you will have to, in order to get your permit, prove that you have around the equivalent of 900 to 1,000 euros a month. It changes a little bit every year what that amount is, but that's something that our staff also help students with in terms of preparing for the residence permit. So don't be too scared of it now, but just to be aware to sort of do a little bit of that financial planning before arriving.
Yes, I do want to add that, of course, definitely in Finland also, immigration services does require that students prove beforehand that they have the funding to make sure that there are no problems on the way. So that is about a little under 7,000 euros for the 12 months of stay that you have to prove that you have on your account, for example.
All right, thank you very much, everybody. It's been a very interesting time, so the audience could get to know how is it like to study in Nordic universities a bit better. So thank you, ladies, for being here and sharing with us how is it like to study in top Nordic universities in Finland and Sweden, and for everyone joining on YouTube for your time and questions. Unfortunately, we have very limited time to address all your questions, but they are not going to be left unanswered. So before we conclude the session, I would like to invite our speakers to share about your institution and how we can get more information. Johanna, you can start.
Okay, thank you. So first of all, of course, come and visit us at the booths starting next week at EHEF, because of course there we can personally help you to figure out if we have those options. If you're looking for masters or bachelors in English, definitely we have a wide variety of options for you, and a good opportunity to learn from a Nordic atmosphere, Nordic lifestyle, and maybe even continue to stay and live in Finland and in Tampere area after graduation. The website here gives you the English version of our larger website, but from there you can find the studies from bachelor's, master's, and of course, if those PhD programs are already of your interest, you find all of our research groups there. And everybody at the university is more than happy to help you out in figuring where your future will be the brightest and best. And don't forget to chat with our student ambassadors, because they are the most reliable source of information about life and living, and of course also studying, because that's the most popular question that they answer here at Tampere University. Look forward to meeting you later on.
All right, thank you very much, Ilona.
Yeah, I think this student ambassador was a very good starting point. So we also have our student ambassadors on our UniBuddy page. So if you go to the aalto.fi, you will find them there. Theodora, for example, is an Indonesian student, so she's prepared to answer any questions that you may have from the Indonesian perspective. I know that that's always really important to get that first-hand experience. But in terms of Aalto, we have really great bachelor's programs, of 8 bachelor's programs in English and over 100 master's programs, and of course PhD as well. I unfortunately won't be physically present at the fairs, but my colleagues Eva and Eija will be there to answer any questions you have. So please come meet us at the virtual fair, but also physically in the 3 different cities. We are very, very happy to help with any questions that you have about Aalto, but also Finland in general. I know it's a big step to take to move across the world, but we are here to help and make it as smooth as possible. And Finland is a very, very good choice. If you choose Tampere or Aalto, either one, you will be very happy at the end of the day. So looking forward to seeing you virtually.
All right, thank you very much. So last but not least, let's hear it from Sweden.
Absolutely. Well, as everyone has said, we're very excited to meet you in person next week. Myself, I'll be there, but we also have several Indonesian alumni who will be with me at all of the fairs in person. So if you want to really hear from someone who's been through the experience of studying at Lund, especially from the Indonesian context, then definitely come and meet us there, and you'll be able to ask all the questions you have about studying in Sweden and at Lund. For Lund's sake, I can really just say that we are a world-class university. We're top 100 university, and we're located in the southern part of Sweden, right across the bridge essentially from Copenhagen, the capital of Denmark. So you really have a great opportunity in terms of our location in Lund to really take advantage of the best of 2 different Nordic countries in order to learn about the Nordic way of life and really get engaged in a lot of the different industry here, while also meeting people from around the world, because about 60% of our master students at Lund are international students. We have students from over 130 countries. So you definitely won't be alone. We have quite a large Indonesian student population and a very, very active Southeast Asian student association. So no matter what you choose to study, we have opportunities for you, but you will definitely enjoy your time and learn so much about the Nordics and the rest of the world. So you can definitely find more information on the website. Please come and meet me at the fair next week. And otherwise, I would also echo to talk directly with our student ambassadors. If you go to our main webpage, you'll find the link to the student ambassadors right on the homepage. And we also have several students from Indonesia that you can speak directly with there.
All right, thank you very much, everybody, for being here and sharing a lot of things with us today. I would like to also remind the audience that you will have until the end of the virtual event at 6 p.m. to visit more than 80 booths joining EHEF 2023, where you can chat directly with representatives from universities and country embassies alike. There will be also offline events in 3 different cities throughout this month, and we would like to also see you there in person. So thank you everyone for coming, and see you at the next session. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.